Hey there, it's Mollie Designs Detail. Super excited because we're talking kitchen trends today, and you know I follow trends, but cool kitchens. These are things that you will want to know, so stay tuned. All right, so we're gonna take a look at 4 recent kitchens I have designed because these are good examples of kind of like how I build the kitchen and things that are very current in kitchen styling and kind of how you can get the look that you really want in your kitchen. And I always try to get that edge of timelessness so that we don't feel trendy. So even though we're calling this video kitchen trends, we are going for timeless over trendy. First up is the kitchen in our last home. Love this one. I still adore this kitchen, which is cool because you know what? It's been 5 years. It's kind of crazy looking back. And that's when I think that you know, if you can look at it in 5 years and be like, I love it. I don't want to change anything in here. So I feel a little proud of that. But here's why I think that this kitchen is so timeless. One, I went for something other than like a bright white cabinet. To me, over time, even though, you know, there are beautiful white kitchens out there, I think that having something warmer is more like home, more comfortable. And so for me, having that, what it was Farrow and Ball shaded white that I used for the cabinets, and it's really almost got like a putty type undertone, so it's got a little bit of depth to it, and I think that just made all the difference in this kitchen. I love it with the white oak floors, so there's a little warmth there with it, and then the contrast of the black countertop, again, I feel like is quite timeless. So my style, as I've said before, is European, organic, modern, and I think we kind of break down how each of those elements come together. For instance, the cabinets, I went more of the timeless feel, and also the range has that European undertone to it. And then I brought in those light fixtures, the woven shades. That gives them more of that California casual vibe. That's what I would call the organic element in this kitchen, bringing in something that's that natural texture so that we don't get too boring or too modern, or just sometimes spaces need a little life in them. And so a natural element like a woven shade definitely brings that texture, that movement, that element of life to the space. And those of course were really center stage as like a focal point. Over the island, I did 2 of them and they had a great scale. So having that balance, the other elements and the taller ceilings in there was, I think, really impactful and really beautiful. So it is kind of unique blending modern and traditional, but you can definitely do it. Or in this case, I guess it's modern European, like I was saying. But we have the clean lines of those black counter stools, just really simple and modern, that contrast with or have a good juxtaposition against that range like I was talking about. That's a really good example of the European element that feels, that is an Italian range, so it has that European vibe that's old world with the brass handles and just a little bit more of like a throwback feel to it. So it feels like it has a little age. And I love that. I love that pairing with the modern black elements. You can see I also tied in the matte black with the handles and the hardware that I used for the cabinetry. That kind of, you know, works with those bar stools. And then I brought in a little bit of the warmth of like the wood that we have on the floors. I brought a similar tone in with the built-in china cabinet, of course, one of my favorite pieces ever. And that was just such a cool addition to the space. Again, it has a little bit of that timeless feel to it, a little bit of European edge as well. And then I wanted that cabinet to be in the wood tone to set it apart from the rest of the cabinetry because it feels like it's kind of that furniture type of detail. And then I brought that same wood tone just in that little band that wraps around that oversized range hood that I designed. And I still just completely adore this kitchen. The color that I did on the island is Boothbay Gray by Benjamin Moore. So it's just got this subtle, like whenever I'm doing a color, I usually, like I've said this before too, but just so that we have it, you know, mixed into this video too, because I know you probably haven't seen all the videos. I want to bring in a subtle color to a space. I usually select a gray that has that undertone. So Boothbay Gray is like a gray, but it has this gorgeous, especially when paired with warmer tones like the creamy walls and the warmer wood floors, it brings out the blue in this gray. And so it's just a very subtle, inviting type of tone that has still some saturation to it. And anyway, that Boothbay Gray, I used it on the island. I used it on our doors. I like to carry a color kind of throughout the home. So it feels like authentic. It feels like it's part of the home. It wasn't just like a, let's do an accent wall, or let's do, you know, it's like there is an accent wall in that, but it also matches the doors and the island and the entire butler's pantry I also did in that booth bay gray. So the butler's pantry kind of is connected to the kitchen, but its own type of look. In there, I did the same black countertops, which I love with that tone of the cabinetry. And I did keep a more traditional door style on the cabinets. Loved mixing in the glass detail, like above the fridge and like in that china cabinet, so that we break up the cabinetry. Those are kind of some things to look at when you're designing a kitchen. Really trying to mix things up so that it doesn't feel too repetitive. That can definitely happen, especially the bigger the kitchen, the harder it is to keep the character, because sometimes it's just, you know, you want to fit all the storage and there's just so much cabinetry in there. It can become redundant, and you really want to maintain, I think, an element of that warm nature that I'll call character, the details that feel unique to a space. So definitely those are some ideas of how I did that. In there, we did the floating shelves just over by the sink and have that window looking out to the backyard, so that there's still kind of a quaintness, even though it's a good sized kitchen. It still feels home. So definitely still one of my favorites. Next up, we're gonna jump over to, I'm gonna do one of our recent kitchens. We did 2 flip homes. And of course, I say flip homes, but these were designed like as if I was moving in, like everything I would do if I was gonna live there. I tried to do it flip style, like where everything was less expensive. And those of you who've watched along with us know that didn't exactly happen ever. So they're quite custom, the homes that we flipped, but they worked out and the new owners love them, so that's exciting. But I wanted to talk about what I did in this kitchen here. This one I did Revere Pewter for the cabinet color. So this is actually even a little bit more saturated than the first one we looked at with the Pharaoh and Ball shaded white. Revere Pewter is this perfect chameleon color. You might remember when it was like the hottest color on walls for a while. It's kind of in between. It's like kind of a grayish, but a little bit on the warmer side. Depending on the light though, it can kind of look more warm or more cool. It changes throughout the day, honestly, with how the light hits it. So it's a pretty cool color because it has some saturation, but it's not like super tan or super gray. It's just kind of an in-between, which makes it, I think, really desirable. Oh yeah, so Revere Pewter, definitely a really beautiful color. And this one I wanted to pair with some of the white oak like I used on the island, and brought in some detail there with the vertical, like the V-groove shiplap type look on that island. Brought in tons of storage. The island was massive, and it was really 2 islands. We ended up doing, the kitchen originally had been, oh gosh, it was so dysfunctional and closed off. It's crazy how much bigger it got when we opened things up. And so there was one island that was more of like a sink prep island, and then one that's more like a dining island, and both of them in the wood. Brought in some storage on the one side of the prep island, which was really cool. And then again, I did the built-in china cabinet, and I did something kind of cool here, which I feel like is a really like a cool way to get a custom look on those cabinet doors. For the china cabinet, I went with the black frame on those doors, so it mimics, like if you've seen the cabinets that have like a metal frame. It kind of has that look, but without the cost. That's kind of a cool little trick that I did that really, I think, leveled up the kitchen and gave it a modern edge, but still was budget conscious. So love that cabinet. It was so fun to style too, and you could just fit so much stuff. It was crazy how much fit in there, how much storage was added by including that cabinet. And of course it's the Revere Pewter, but with that black door accent that really leveled it up without any added expense. On the interior, you'll see that it looks like the same as the islands, where it's like the white oak, but it's actually a laminate white oak. So you'd never know, but that is like a faux wood on the interior of that cabinet, but it ties it in so well with the island, and then gives that cabinet where it kind of brings all of the elements that I use together into one place, where you've got the wood tone, the Revere Pewter, and then that modern black door like I was talking about. So just such a cool piece that felt customized and really unique to the home, and so functional too. Definitely so glad we almost cut that because of the budget, but luckily Prestige Woodworks helped me out and made it happen, and we really got creative with how to do it to do affordably as we could, because cabinets are a big investment. But anyway, so love this kitchen. You'll notice I didn't do any pendant lights. We had a lot of hanging light fixtures between the dining room next to it and then the living room, and so I really wanted to let those shine in. We kept the kitchen just open and clean with the can lights in the ceiling. And this kitchen had I think I did the black stainless in there. So I definitely like am preferring black stainless over regular stainless just to mix things up. A lot of it's fingerprint resistant depending on which one you get. I've really liked it because it still feels like luxurious, but not as like redundant as stainless steel can be. So, and the price point's usually similar depending on brands. I think we got a pretty good deal on the ones that I used in there. So there's that. Oh, and on that one, the accent, the wall with the range hood has the little floating shelves where I tied in that white oak. And then also you'll see the white brick backsplash. I wanted that to feel sort of like a wall that had been there, like an exposed brick. So we just took it all the way to the ceiling so that it felt more authentic instead of just doing only a backsplash. I really like the idea of like it being an exposed brick wall. I usually try to hold on, or create some form of architectural integrity where it feels natural to the home, not like you slapped something up, but that sort of it evolved over time or was originally there, stuff like that. I really love that. Okay, whew. So next kitchen. This one is our kitchen now, and it was a remodel again from the 90s. So this kitchen had pinkish oak with the hanging cabinets that literally like dropped down in the middle of the room. You guys probably remember some of this. If you missed it, go watch It's Extreme Kitchen Makeover, I think is the name of the video. And it really just needed some love. And so I knew that I wanted in this home, let's see, and this has been a few years now too. It's crazy. I think it was 2019 or 2020. Maybe it's 2020, I think, when we bought this house. And I really wanted to bring in that stone detail because this house had the Mediterranean undertones to it already. And so I wanted to go like modern Mediterranean. I was thinking old world, like Europe, when you see the exposed stone and it's like handcrafted and has that overgrouted look. I knew I wanted to bring that into this house. So we did it on both the fireplace and the kitchen wall. And it just makes me happy every time. And I have a guide for this one as well. So both that first kitchen and this current one that we have, they're guides that I'll link for you that you can get all the resources, and I have a coupon code to get those for less too. It's a PDF file that you download and it includes all the resources like the stone name, the mortar, little video showing some stuff, and other like the carpet and all the other details as well. So really, really cool if you're like building or remodeling. It's got a ton of information packed in there. Anyway, so this kitchen, just so fun. And to see it go from like, this is a smaller house, it's around 2,000 square feet. To see it really like function so much better, I think has been the most rewarding thing. And at the time, we were just kind of remodeling it, maybe gonna flip it, maybe gonna use it as a little vacation home or something, but we ended up moving in. And so it was such a blessing that I really had thought through all the details of this kitchen and, can share them with you too for like kitchen planning if you're remodeling yourself. Things that I'm so glad we did. I actually don't think I have any regrets. We added in the pull-out trash on the end. So we've got that, tucked into a cabinet. We've got the drink fridge in the island, dishwashers in the island. Making it an island instead of the peninsula was, of course, game-changing for the flow of the home. Moved the fridge over to its own little spot. I was worried that it might feel we do have the island right there. It hasn't been an issue, so that's good. I was worried that might be too tight, but it's been totally fine because we really, like I said, we just had a small footprint to work within. I made the dining nook more built in. That was a real game changer for this space. I think having that banquette seating really, like, we can pack so many people around that table, and then it's just a way more efficient use of space because that table can tuck more into the space. And I was even able to add that china cabinet with the arch doors that I drew up and had built. It's so fun. I love that little nook. It's very welcoming. And then I did an oversized light in there that's really fun, that kind of lantern linear chandelier. So that's been a really, really pretty addition to kind of distinguish that space as the dining space. And then did the white oak, similar to the flooring color for the island. That one is a custom stain from our cabinet company, but it's like a gray wash over white oak. And I didn't do riffs on or quarters on or any like special kind of white oak. I just did regular white oak with that gray wash stain over it. It still maintains like a warmer wood tone, but because white oak can sometimes pull yellow, when you do a gray based stain over it, it helps kind of like level out some of that orangey yellowness so that you have a little bit more modern feel to that oak, so that it doesn't feel like the oak of the 90s or something. Anyway, just such a fun kitchen. Obviously, like I was saying, that stone wall sets the space apart and gives it so much character. I wanted to contrast that, again, like I was talking about, bringing modern and European together. The modern lines of that range hood that I did in the plaster, that definitely keeps it so that it doesn't feel too busy, because you have this clean, straight lines, minimal, and a little white to break up all the, tones that is in that natural stone. So I love that mix. We did cafe appliances in here with the white, and then again with the goldish bronze tone for the handles on all the appliances, so that keeps a little bit more of that traditional European flair, and those old world modern Mediterranean. It's like old world Mediterranean meets modern. So the countertops are really fun. I love just a really minimal countertop. I've talked about this before, but the island just being mostly black. It's a leathered steel gray granite, and I do love granite because you can still put hot things on it and not be worried. Quartz, you can't do that. So not that I don't like quartz, but definitely like granite is my number one choice if you can find something that's not too busy. I did use a little bit of pattern on that surround side because I found a cool remnant piece in the fantasy brown for the other side by the range. Love that. It tied into the colors of the stone, so it's kind of its own little thing over there. But the island, you'll see is just that really clean black. And in the next kitchen, I'll show you too, where I did more of just a plain white countertop. A lot of times I like the countertops to be more minimal, but anyway, just a really, really functional layout with the floating shelves. Oh, I know one thing that I love in here too is the hanging pot racks that I mounted those. Normally they're made to mount on the wall, but of course we had the stone, so I mounted them under the floating shelves, and they have been game changing. Shocking how much space that they add, like storage space, because you can hang all the pots and the utensils from there. And it's just been so nice for cooking. There's definitely, like, I like the look, that utilitarian type look where it's just almost like a French kitchen or something, where you see, they have the big range, but everything's really open, your pots and pans and everything you can just kind of grab. It's like very functional, even though it also looks really cool to almost like display your cooking pieces as like hanging art or something. It's pretty cool. And I of course got the faux copper pots. Obviously in my dreams they're real copper, but I'm not there yet. So maybe in the next house, save my money for some real copper pots. But I really like these faux hammered copper because it looks, it looks like copper, and they've worked out fine, but a girl's got a dream. If you have copper pots, you should tell me in comments, because I want to know, are they extra? Like, do they cook better? It feels like French kitchens have those. I'm thinking of ratatouille. I always think of ratatouille. Seems like they have copper. Seems like there's copper pots. So if you have them, let me know. They are everything that I'm dreaming of. Next up is the last kitchen we'll talk about today. This is the most recent flip. This is another kitchen with a little bit of European influence, of course, and I just am loving this cabinet color, and I think you guys loved it too. It is Sherwin-Williams Morris Room Gray by Sherwin-Williams on the cabinets. It is so pretty because it has just a little bit of a green undertone, but it's kind of a mushroom color, so it's got some nice depth to it, and it feels just so current. I feel like this is the direction that I think kitchens are going, a little bit more richness and warmth to them. And then I brought in those glass cabinets on either side of the range. I really made this an accent wall where the range is, and it's kind of like in every house I have to bring in some form of like a glass door cabinet, like a built-in china cabinet for display and the function and the beauty and the mixing it up, right? Like I was talking about. And then this has, of course, the range hood's really beautiful statement piece. And this one, like I was mentioning, has that simple white countertop. The cabinets, I think, are so pretty in this house. The island I did do in the white oak, again with kind of that gray wash stain from our cabinet company. And I love that pairing of the painted surround and then that island in the oak. Just so fun. And again, I did that melamine type of oak, white oak look to tie in with the island inside the glass door cabinet area. So it just has that extra little detail and element of character, and kind of ties the island into that side of the kitchen as well. I kept things really simple. I love the way that gold hardware is so pretty, that gold hardware. One of my favorites against the cabinet color. It's just like so classic. And I love that this cabinet color is again kind of a chameleon like Revere pewter, but a little more saturated. It's got, like I said, just a hint of green undertone, and it's not really gray, it's not really tan, it's somewhere in between, but it just works really well and feels so sophisticated. It's just got this level of niceness to it. So fun. And in this one, I did the arched pantry with the wood shelves. One of the coolest things was just that our builder Mike he built those shelves for the pantry for me out of extra flooring material. So they tie in really well with the floor, and then they were such a good use of extra material that it was just a really, really cool project. And then the accent wall that's there in the kitchen, that dining, you can kind of see the dining space, the gorgeous stone. This is another one I have a guide for because it's just like so cool. And you can actually, I found that stone online and it's under $10 a square foot, which is crazy. So that guide is a good one too. Again, there's a code for that, so I'll link that too. But I was gonna originally do that stone, if you guys remember, on the kitchen walls, but there was so much detail happening over there with the window and those lantern lights that I was like, the dining room is what needs this stone, and it will still be part of the kitchen. And I'm so glad we did that because we did it on the other side of that tall fridge cabinet, so it made the perfect place to just kind of have the stone detail. And oh man, I just love that. I'm using that stone in our new home. It's so pretty. So anyway, just some really fun details. Those pendants there, the dome pendants with the frosted glass, really clean, simple, just gives that space its own, like, I don't know, they don't like detract, or they're not like too busy, right? They just add a little bit of something over that island. So I really, really love how those came together with the space. And again, looks like wood flooring, but it's actually a laminate product. It's Hallmark floors from their Courtier collection. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And it's, what's the name? Camarilla oak. So really great flooring. This is one I'll probably use in our new house. In the basement, I want to do something that's like a vinyl plank, and that's what that is. It's like a rigid vinyl plank, so they just kind of click together, almost like engineered hardwood, but it's a product that isn't going to get ruined by water or anything. So really cool. Let me know what questions you guys have, what kitchen's your favorite, and also if you have any questions too, leave that in comments. Thank you for watching. Hopefully these kind of kitchen trends and timeless details that we talked about will inspire you in creating your own space. I'd love to hear what you guys are working on. If you guys are remodeling and stuff like that, it's always fun to hear what decisions you're making too and what elements you are incorporating. So thanks for checking out our channel. We'd love to see you over on Instagram too, at Design Loves Detail, or our website, designlovesdetail.com.